Hello, students. Today we will be learning the chapter that is.
North Wind's Gift. Let's read.
But before reading, let me show you one word in this section over here. This is called Norway. This is the name of a place, and I won't tell you anything about this right now. But please remember this word, it will be needed in the end of the chapter.
In the northern land, Jeppy, a young boy, lived with his mother in a village.
If you heard the videos that I sent to you earlier, the videos in which there is only the reading part, in the beginning, this is pronounced as Jeppy. In the end, there is another pronunciation. So, let me tell you, students, when there are these kinds of names, you can pronounce it in whatever way possible. It is not that it is having a fixed pronunciation because you can see the spelling. This can be pronounced as Jeppy, or even it can be Geppy, or Geppo, or Jeppo, anything. In the northern land means it is a place in the north. Now, which place we can know from here itself? Let us read a story from Norway. This place is located in the north, but please remember this name, it will be needed later on as well.
His father was in a far off land.
Far off means a place very far, which is not even close to his house, very, very far.
They were very poor. One day, the mother asked Jeppy to go to the city and get some oats.
As you can see in this line, lived with his mother in a village. Now, if you talk about foreign countries, they call it as village and also city. How we have Silvassa, Silvassa is a city. But if you go to places where there are no buildings, where there are less vehicles, those are known as villages. In the same way, this family lived in a village, and to do any purchasing, they had to go to the city and get some oats. I'll show you what is oats. Some of you may be using this in your homes as well. We have this Quaker oats, we have Safola oats. This is a kind of rice or wheat, or in Hindi, if I want to say, it will be chaach, what we make using milk.
She wanted to make a nice oatmeal bread for him.
Over here, what we eat, the kind of chapati which is known as naan or tandoori roti, they make bread out of oatmeal.
The boy was returning from the city when came huffing and puffing the north wind.
Boy was returning from the city, that means he had already bought oats and he was coming back to his home when came huffing and puffing the north wind. What is huffing and puffing? You can see over here, breathing heavily due to exertion. The meaning of exertion is when a person runs fast, when a person is doing some really heavy work, that person gets tired and starts breathing very heavily. Now just listen to this sound, I'm playing it for you. In Hindi we call this as hafna. So the north wind came huffing and puffing, breathing very heavily.
He snatched the oats and away he went with it, far away.
Snatched means chheen liya, as you can see over here. Now this boy was holding this thing. Now this is not exactly oatmeal, but it is just to show you, just for your understanding. The north wind snatched it, chheen liya, and went away far.
The boy returned to the city for more.
For more means since the north wind had taken it from him, the boy once again had to go to the city to get more oats.
But when he came out, once again, the north wind carried off the oats, just as before.
In this sentence, we come to know that the same thing happened the second time as well.
The lad now became very angry and he decided to go himself and see the north wind and ask him to return his oats.
Now, the place from the village to the city is not very close. The places are very far from each other. So that's why the lad became angry. What is the meaning of lad? Lad means a young boy. Became very angry, and then he decided that now I will go to the north wind by myself and I will ask him to return the oats.
The north wind's home was a long way off,
Now, just as a village and the city were far from each other, in the same way, the north wind's home also was very far.
and the lad walked for a whole day and a whole night.
Whole day and a whole night. So you can imagine how far the home of the north wind was.
At last, he reached the north wind's house. "Good day," the north wind, in his loud and gruff voice said.
The meaning of gruff is in Hindi how we say bhari awaz. When you hear that sound, you get scared because it is a very rude kind of voice. Now, since it is a north wind, can see from the image, it is like a dangerous person. So it had a gruff voice and it wished the boy, saying, "Good day."
"Thank you for coming to visit me. What do you want?" The boy was afraid, but he gathered up his courage.
As I told you about the voice, it seemed that the north wind was a very dangerous person. The boy was afraid, that means he got scared, but he gathered up his courage. Courage means himmat. Gathered up courage means himmat jutaya. He gathered all his courage and then he said,
I have come to ask you to return our oats, he said. My mother and I do not have anything to eat. We live all by ourselves.
"We live all by ourselves" means what? We have no other support. There is no other earning in our family.
"I don't have your oats any longer," said the north wind. "But since you are so brave to come all the way alone by yourself, I will give you a cloth which will provide everything you want."
Now the north wind felt a little bad for the boy, so he said that मेरे पास अभी oats नहीं है, I don't have it with me right now. Since this boy was a brave person, the north wind decided to give him a cloth which will provide means it will give everything that the boy wanted.
All you have to do is say, "Cloth, cloth, serve up all sorts of good dishes."
Now, since we are talking about something to eat, that is oats, the north wind told the boy that you just have to tell this cloth, serve up all sorts of good dishes. Sorts means kinds. You have to serve all kinds of good food over here.
Jeppy thanked the north wind, and he set off for home with the cloth.
Set off means started a journey. Now he came to the north wind's house, so he decided to go back home after receiving the cloth from him.
On the way, the boy stopped at an inn and tried the magic cloth.
What do you mean by inn? As you can see over here, it is called a small hotel. Let me also tell you that inn is a place where you can stay. You must be knowing that in the hotels they also have rooms. So those rooms are known as inns. On the way, the boy stopped at an inn and tried the magic cloth. Now, why did he stop at an inn? Since he was a young boy, he wanted to know if the cloth is working really or not. So he stopped over there and tried it.
He found that it served a table full of exotic dishes.
Now, when he said this, cloth, serve up all sorts of good dishes, he saw that it served a table full of exotic dishes. Exotic means rich and delicious. Now, rich does not mean Amir, okay? Rich means very nice food and delicious, tasty food.
But the innkeeper who had seen all, quietly replaced it with a fake one.
As you can see, this person is over here peeping from the window. This is the innkeeper. What do you mean by innkeeper? A person who takes care of an inn. So he was quietly noticing what is happening and he replaced it. Replaced means badli kar diya. Now this boy had a cloth, as you can see this cloth over here. The innkeeper saw what is happening and quietly he decided to take another cloth and keep it here and take this cloth with himself. Fake means nakli, what we say in Hindi.
Next morning, the boy showed the cloth to his mother, but nothing happened.
Now, why next morning? As we had seen earlier, it took one whole day and one whole night for him to travel till the North Wind's house. So he reached his home next morning and he showed the cloth to his mother, but nothing happened. Now you already know why nothing happened, because the innkeeper had already replaced the cloth with a fake one.
His mother was very angry.
Now, why should a mother get angry with this? If a child is trying to show something magical, the mother will be sure that it is not going to happen. So, why was she angry? Because, first of all, the boy went to get oats, he didn't get it, it was taken away by the north wind. And secondly, his mother was also hungry and she wanted to feed the son and wanted to have the food for herself also. But this boy came with a cloth and nothing happened. So that is why she got very angry.
So he went back to the North Wind's house. This time, the North Wind gave the boy a ram, a kind of sheep that could make gold coins.
It is already explained over here. The second time the north wind gave the boy a ram. Ram is a kind of sheep. Let me show it to you using Google itself. You can see this is a kind of sheep. It has horns in a spiral shape. You can see all these images. Over here you will notice it looks like a sheep only. The north wind gave a ram to the boy that could make gold coins.
The innkeeper stole it too.
Stole means churaya. The innkeeper stole the ram also.
The boy did not give up.
Give up means haar nahi mana.
He once again made a trip to the North Wind's house.
Now this is the third time that the boy had to go to the north wind's house.
Well, I have nothing else to give you but this old stick. But it's a stick to which if you ever say, "Stick, stick, lay on," it will beat the person until you say, "Stick, stick, now stop."
Now first this boy was given a cloth. The cloth was stolen. Secondly, he was given a ram. The ram was also stolen. Now third time the north wind decided to give a stick to the boy. And what did he say? If you ever say stick, stick, lay on, it will beat the person until you say stick, stick, now stop. That means whichever person it would be, it would start beating the person.
Once again, the boy stopped for the night at the inn.
Now, in this sentence, we can know why he stopped at the inn, because it is not easy to travel the whole day and for the whole night. That's why he had to rest at an inn.
But suspecting the innkeeper, he lay down on a bench and began to snore as if he were asleep.
Suspecting means in Hindi how we say shak karna. Suspecting the innkeeper, he already had a doubt on the innkeeper that maybe this person is doing something wrong. He lay down on a bench and began to snore. In Hindi, snore means kharate lena. And he was just acting that he was asleep, but he was awake, just trying to notice what the innkeeper is doing.
Now the innkeeper saw the stick and imagined that it must be worth something.
Worth means it may be having some value. उसका कुछ तो मूल्य होगा. Innkeeper saw the stick. Now first he saw the cloth. He saw what magic it can do. He saw the ram and what magic it could do. So third time he was thinking that the stick also can do some kind of magic.
He hunted up another one like it and waited till he heard the lad snore.
Now he saw the stick which was in the inn, and then he hunted. Hunted means he went out looking for a stick that looks like this only and waited till the boy went to sleep.
Just as the innkeeper was about to take the lad's stick, the lad bawled out,
Stick, stick, lay on.
The meaning of bawled is this boy suddenly screamed in a loud voice and said, Stick, stick, lay on. What it would do is it would start beating the person, as you can see over here. It will beat the person until you say, Stick, stick, now stop.
So the stick began to beat the innkeeper till he jumped over chairs and tables and benches.
Jumping over chairs, tables, and benches, you can imagine how hard this stick started beating him.
He ran out, and the stick followed him.
It was not only that the stick would beat a person, it would also follow a person. He ran out, he went outside the inn, and the stick followed him out as well.
The innkeeper yelled, "Oh my! Oh my! Tell the stick to be still, else it will beat me to death."
Whenever we are in any trouble, we say, Oh my, oh my. How we say, Oh my goodness, or Oh my God. In the same way, we say, Oh my. Tell the stick to be still. Still means remain in one position, else it will beat me to death. That means the stick will beat me so much that it will also kill me.
You shall have both your cloth and your ram back.
The innkeeper told this to the little boy. You shall have both your cloth and your ram back. Why did he say this? Because he understood that the boy understood who was taking his ram and his cloth and his stick.
When the lad thought the innkeeper had learnt his lesson, he said,
Stick, stick, now stop.
Meaning of learnt his lesson is sabak seekh liya. When the lad thought that the innkeeper had apna sabak seekh liya, then he said, Stick, stick, now stop.
The innkeeper returned his cloth and ram. Jeppo reached home happily and showed all the gifts to his mother.
As you can see and you can hear also, the spelling is same but the pronunciation is different. So there is nothing to worry, you can pronounce it in whatever way you can. This boy reached home happily and showed all the gifts to his mother. Which gifts? The first one is a cloth, the second one is a ram, and the third one is a stick. Now, why were these three things known as gifts from the north wind? Because the cloth would provide for food, the ram would provide for money, and the stick would provide for protection. As you know that in the village areas there are many wild animals, so it is a dangerous place to live in. So that stick would protect them.
Then they lived happily and were never poor.
Now, in the beginning of the lesson, I asked you to remember the name Norway. You can see over here this is adapted from a Norwegian folklore. Norwegian means a person living in Norway or anything belonging to Norway. For example, we live in India, so we are known as Indians. In the same way, this was a folklore. First of all, we'll break this word into two parts. Folk, folk. Folk means people. Folklore means what? A story that the people say. You must have heard many times, Your parents or your grandparents or your great grandparents also, they used to say stories which are not written in any books, but they tell this story only with the mouth. It is not written anywhere. So, in the same way, this story was also spoken, and it is a Norwegian folklore. That's it for this video. Thank you, students.